Hello and welcome. Thank you for stopping by my YouTube channel. My name is Garrett Durant, or AKA Mindful G. And look, I just want to explain why I started this YouTube channel and give you a little bit on my story. And during the pandemic, I came down with severe crippling anxiety. I mean, my anxiety was so high, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, I couldn't watch TV. My body was sending me signals and I thought I was going to die. I couldn't walk in the middle of the street without feeling really heavy, intense sensations in my body. I'd go into grocery stores and the lights would send me into a panic attack mode. I literally wasn't able to do much. My life was really unmanageable. I wasn't able to stay inside. Fortunately, I live by these hills by my house, and I was able to spend a lot of time, out there, especially during the beginning of my anxiety trip. And I would literally stay out there from sun up to sundown. I wouldn't have slept the night before, and I just couldn't stand it. I didn't know what was going on, but the only thing that made me feel better was to be outside and be up in the hills. Okay. And so that's what I did. I'd pack my gear and I'd just go, and I would spend all day out there. And, it was so bad where my wife was on the verge of leaving me. Right. And I don't blame her, man. Like, it was tough. My anxiety was tough. I couldn't sleep. I was bouncing off the walls. I couldn't stand still. I was going crazy. I literally lost my mind. And I had never experienced anything quite like this in my life before. Like, nothing like this at all. We all have some healthy anxieties, but I've never experienced out of control, unbalanced, can't come back to homeostasis, right? I can't get centered throughout my life ever. Like, I've never had that happen. I've been an athlete. I've been, somebody who's, been looked upon when times get hard. I've had a very good mental state. Have that very good mindset, willpower, mind over matter type things. So for me to get shook the way that I did at my core level, despite the anxiety that it brought upon me, just shook me. It scared me, and I didn't know what to do, and I did not know what was going on, right? I couldn't work. Okay. I had to take time off of work. I took like 6 months off of work, right? I couldn't complete daily tasks. I couldn't sit there and focus. I couldn't have conversations with people. My anxiety was just so high. I literally didn't know if I was going to make it through. I literally didn't think I was ever going to heal, right? I was, coping with it in different ways. And one of the ways that I coped with it, especially because I couldn't sleep, is I started self-medicating. Okay. And I mean, I've tried every over-the-counter drug there was to help me sleep. None of that worked. None of that worked. My anxiety was so high, and it just gave me more anxiety. And so then what else did I do? I started drinking alcohol, and I had always been, a drinker, but I started pounding liquor. Okay. From six o'clock till like midnight. And I'm talking, I'd get the big bottle, let's say example, vodka, the big gallon or half gallon, the handle, okay, as they call it. And I'd get that vodka bottle and I'd pound 3/4 of that in one night. I'd wake up with these nasty hangovers, okay? And I would do that just so I could sleep, right? But what I come to find is that it was not helping my anxiety, and that was only raising my anxiety, and my life was going down the drain. I was destructive. I was, unraveling, at the core, and my whole life was falling apart right in front of me, that I was just spiraling out of control, and I didn't know how to grab myself. Everything that I had been doing to try to grab myself wasn't working. So finally, after a few months, of trying to get a hold of my life and trying to get a hold of myself, after a night of heavy drinking, and only getting about 4 hours of sleep, I woke up June 12th, 2020, and I had my coming to Jesus moment. And, I woke up with such a hangover and such high anxiety that I finally broke down. And I just couldn't take it anymore. I started crying. I was trying to pray and meditate, to God. And I was just pleading and begging and willing to do whatever it took to get rid of this anxiety, and also to get rid of the alcohol. And so June 12th, 2020, I'll never forget this, man. I called my parents, and my mom was like, you need to check yourself into a clinic. You need to get some drugs to help you sleep. this, that, and the other, and although I didn't like that idea, I was like, oh, I might have to do this, and then, I called my father and I said, Dad, my life is just unmanageable. Like, I'm drinking too much. My anxiety's too high. I can't get a hold of this. Like, and I don't know what to do. I feel like, it's all going to end soon. I feel like I'm not going to heal. I'm not going to come back. I'm going to lose everything. I'm going to get, I'm going to lose my mind completely here pretty soon if I don't do something about this. Right. And I'll never forget the conversation I had with my father, bless him to this day. My father, he's an older gentleman. Okay. He was born in 1939. So he's an older generation. Okay. And, he has a lot of insight, right? As older people do. I get emotional when I talk about this. So my father, he came to me, on the phone. We couldn't see each other because of COVID, but on the phone, he goes, look, son, he goes, I don't know much about anxiety. Okay. He goes, but I do know one thing. He goes, you're fighting on two fronts, right? He goes, you're fighting with the alcohol and you're fighting with your anxiety. He's like, that's a recipe for disaster. He goes, you know what you need to do? My suggestion. He goes, get rid of the alcohol and then work on your anxiety. He goes, you're not going to win fighting on two fronts. You're not going to win fighting with two demons or two devils. He goes, it's too strong and you're only going to hurt yourself and you're only going to fall apart. And I'll never forget that conversation with my father. I'll never forget that conversation ever. I'll never forget the date, June 12th, 2020, because that's the day I decided to take life by the horns. And that's the day that I decided to tackle the two demons I was facing with. And that was alcohol and anxiety. It was an emotional day for me because that day I decided to face my fear. And that day I knew I was going to feel a lot of pain. And then that day I knew I was going to suffer and it was going to take a long time to heal. And I may never even heal. I did not know, but I knew I had to try. The thought of losing my life scared me more than the thought of having anxiety. And so that day I gave up the alcohol. I called a very good friend of mine who had gone through a similar experience and who had been sober for 2.5 years. And he came over and he helped me, get on a path. I joined AA to help me get sober. Right. And then I started working on my anxiety. I started seeking for answers. I started searching for help. I started learning and I started reaching out and I started just getting the help that I needed, and through this journey, I searched for so many answers. I went to God. I started reading the Bible every single day. I started meditating every single day. I started if I had to stay outside all day, I stayed outside all day, and bless my wife's heart. She allowed that to happen and she understood that even though it was tearing her up inside. There was a point in my journey where my wife even took some time off of work and she went and lived with relatives, and she did that for like 2 to 3 months. And when she came back, I was in a better place. I wasn't healed, but I was in a better place. And so it just was an emotional journey. And June 12th, 2020 is when I decided to take my life back. And through the years of learning, of experimenting, of performing, of struggling, of thriving, right? I've come to a place now where I serve others and I help them overcome their anxiety. But not only do I help them overcome their anxiety, I help them transform their lives. Because when you come through anxiety, right, really what's happening is you're having a rebirth and you're having a full transformation. Everything about you changes. The person that you once were no longer exists. And I like to say that by the end of your journey, you're going to be standing on 1,000 dead versions of your old self. And so that's why I've started this YouTube channel. I started the YouTube channel because I want to share my knowledge, my experiences, my story, and share it with the world and share it with you because I know it'll help somebody out there, maybe even you who's listening to this today. And it's going to help people. I know that for a fact. And that's the reason that I shared this stuff. And I started a social media campaign, before I started this YouTube channel to help others and overcome. And I'll put the link up here somewhere and you can, join my Instagram or something or, but please, stay tuned. This is just my first video. and I'm going to be posting videos, all the time. I'm going to shoot for once a week, but it might be once every other week. Okay. So don't judge me on that. All right. But I'm going to shoot for once a week, and I'm all about education, health, wealth, well-being, transformation, overcoming anxiety, tips and tricks on everything that you need to learn. Okay. Mindfulness. Okay. Techniques and strategies, like I said, that will help you beat anxiety, that will help you conquer your mind, help you conquer those sensations that you're going through. I've been there. I understand it all. I've gone through the experience, and I've worked hard, double time, and I dove straight into healing. Okay. And I pulled myself up from the depths of hell to be here today to help you and serve you. And I felt this calling deep down inside of me from God or the universe, whatever you want to call it. Okay, to come and serve and help others. And that's why I'm here, because I'm so passionate about helping others. And thank you for listening to this video. Thank you for being here. Subscribe, down below. Subscribe, leave comments. Let's build a community together. Let's build a community of health and well-being and healing together. I can't wait to go on this ride with you guys and share my knowledge and get to know every single one of you. So thank you for being here. Thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to serve you. And let's go. Let's get this journey. I'm ready. Let's do it. Talk to you soon.